Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now. Got a question here asked on lockergnome.net. What is the most useful programming language? This is an impossible question to answer. I mean, it's a good question, absolutely. The problem is, it depends. And I know that's the answer I give for just about everything, but it's true. Some programming languages are built for certain types of applications, and they've been optimized for certain types of applications over others. So, for instance, if I were to develop a WordPress plugin, I would use PHP as a scripting language. I wouldn't use C++ necessarily, at least for the primary component of that plugin, because WordPress is based on PHP. If I were to, say, develop a plugin for movable type, I would, I believe, use Perl. If I'm not mistaken, that was the primary language of movable type. It's been years since I used it. Is anybody still using movable type out there? Python, good. If I had a Django application running there on the web server, Python, of course, would be the language used for that. CSS, HTML, HTML, hypertext markup language. It's not exactly a programming language. It's a markup language. CSS is more for design and layout options for what could be rendered as HTML. So that's not exactly the question that's, I believe, being asked at the heart of it. The most useful programming language ultimately is the one that's going to best serve your needs. You can't just run at something and expect that one language is going to do everything. And if a programmer tells you that, it's not a good programmer. The wise programmers will let you know the same thing. They'll tell you it depends. Even people who are in love with Fortran, it's possible. COBOL, in some institutions they still teach that because there are legacy applications out in the world that still run on COBOL, Fortran, etc. But they're not going to sit there and tell you, well, I can make something do anything that I want it to do by using just this language alone. Not always the case. And even though I'm not a big fan of Java on the desktop, not JavaScript, two different things here. Java on the desktop is generally a dog, not a fan. I can tell you it's extremely scalable, extremely robust in terms of developing applications that are run on the back end, or sitting on the server side of things. Very, very robust. And for that reason, learning Java in terms of going into the enterprise programming world, that'd be a good thing. Of course, they'll probably start you out in C, C++. If you want to go down the path of developing desktop applications or even .NET applications, I would say, you're going to be heading into the world of Microsoft, obviously. There's a great tool that'll help you build applications on Mac OS X, iPhone, iOS in general. Xcode, of course. You do need a Mac for that. Really, if I were you, start somewhere, and that may be Visual Basic, if they're still developing that. It gets you a start, and that starting point will allow you to grow from that point forward, and you'll get a better idea in terms of which frameworks, which programming languages will work best for the applications that you want to develop. Trying to make that one language that do everything. You're wasting your time, quite honestly. You're wasting cycles. The best programming language, or I should say, the most useful programming language is the one that affords you the most in the fastest amount of time to allow you to accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish. I wouldn't be the only one to say that, and if any programmer disagrees, I'd like to hear. My email address, chris@pirillo.com.